Hey everyone, and welcome to our last pre-Christmas review of the year. I'm your host as ever, Purple Midnight, joined once more by the.
Christmas.
It's not that review yet.
Oh, sorry.
I literally just said this is our last pre-Christmas film. Anyway, I'm joined as ever by my darling wife, Amelia. We're both sick. She's more sick than me, but that's fine because she doesn't do a lot of talking anyway. I'm just saying, that's true. She does some, but not a lot. Unless it's a film she really cares about. But anyway, welcome back, as mentioned, to our last pre-Christmas review. I apologise if she coughs for most of this. It annoys me as much as it annoys you, but she just recorded two of her own reviews, so she's just like, screw it. But anyway, we are looking at the film Look Away. This film I've never heard of. Morgan has invited me to a party. He's mentioned in more reviews than he's actually in. But he can wait because we're doing this. Anyway, we are reviewing Look Away. You can catch it on Netflix if you want to watch it. Other than that, I don't know where it is. So this was Amelia's choice. So do you have any thoughts you want to rasp down the mic? Yeah, Amelia liked to pretend that she hadn't seen it when we watched it to review it, and it was just like, oh, I want to watch this and review it. And it's like, oh, I've seen it already. Yeah, she likes these weird sort of like, well, kind of supernatural, kind of not, I guess, paranormal or whatever. I don't know what you want to call it, but it's just one of them bizarre films. So this is a film directed and written by one person. His name is Asaf Bernstein. I'm not familiar with any of his work, except for this, obviously, but still. I don't want to say this is low budget, but it has that low budget feeling to it. Because it's got Jason Isaacs in it, who's quite a big actor, but other than that, I don't know anyone else. So it's one of them weird like experimental films. It almost gives me along the lines of like Another Earth,
Mm-hmm.
that kind of like filming style, where it's low budget, but its cast isn't small. Well, this is a small cast, but I mean like they're not nobody actors. I apologize to any films we've done where they are nobodies in it. But if they're good enough to be in more than one film on the channel, then they're not nobodies to us. So anyway, we'll get into our little discussion of the film while Amelia colours in her Christmas pictures on her phone, as per usual. That's how you know it's that time of year. Merry Christmas, everyone.
I'm gonna take part.
Okay, we have a few things we want to talk about as well, because there's a lot of unanswered questions that we can have a little talk about when we get to them.
I still don't get.
The ending is still really weird. Like I say, to this day, like you've been watching this film for years. Have you really?
Yes.
When was the first time you watched it? Yeah, exactly. You have not seen it that many
I
times.
I saw it first time when I went on Disney. Cable to. I think it was ITVX for free. Um,
Free with adverts. You're just basically watching it on telly.
and then there was another time I watched it. This is like my fifth time.
I don't know. You sat through this 5 times. Anyway,
But you can't get DVD.
yeah, it's.
It's
I
not
think it's one
available
of
on
them weird
DVD.
things. Oh, Stasi has decided to join us. Mr. Fluffington, our cat. So Maria, who is our protagonist, played by India Isley, lives with her parents Dan, as mentioned, played by Jason Isaacs.
Yes,
Probably
he's a prick.
he's not a prick too badly. He's not like straight up abusive. He's what he's doing comes from the right place, but it's just consumed by his work. Anyway, Jason Isaacs is probably best known as Lucius Malfoy from Harry Potter. And also for any of you Star Wars nerds out there, that is the Grand Inquisitor from the animated series, not the Kenobi series. And Amy, played by Mira Sorvino, in a lavish house. She is a social outcast. I'm gonna have to keep occasionally pausing so she can hack her guts up, so I apologise. She's a social outcast in her high school. We've all seen these kind of films before. As opposed to her friend Lily, played by Penelope Mitchell, who is the generic popular girl. After school at dinner, Amy struggles to talk with Maria, which ends with her storming out as Dan fails to do anything. He's a bit of a useless twat. Dan and Amy argue about Maria and her development to adulthood, which Maria overhears. While crying in a mirror, she finds a picture stowed behind it of her ultrasound, where there was a twin that doesn't exist. So yeah, there's two babies.
As you can gather, one's
It's evil twin stuff, except not twin stuff. Spoilers about that. We're gonna just talk about that straight away. The big, like, sort of twist, I guess. Basically, there's another version of her behind the mirror that's basically more. Let's total opposite of what she is. But my theory is this is like the spirit of the twin that wasn't born. Well, the not born. She was, because the twin was born, but it was as we'll discuss later, murdered by someone. So it does kind of link in because of some dialogue as well that it is like the spirit of the sister that didn't make it as a child. But as I say, we'll talk about that.
Here's the thing, right? What I don't get is she knew nothing about that twin and had that ultrasound.
Oh, yeah, because they hid it. They hid
So
the evidence and shit.
realistically, what was the girl's name? Was it Arbor?
Aram.
Anyway,
It's Maria spelled backwards. It's like peak writing. That's what happens when you have one guy write your film. But anyway, go on.
yeah, so I don't get how she would have, like, she's talking to her in the mirror.
Yeah, but it's like, well, this whole film doesn't make sense considering they switch by touching each other's. Sorry, I paused at the wrong time though. Touching each other in a reflection. But it's like, I think it is like the spirit of her sister that Dan murdered, by the way. Obviously, she wouldn't know. Morgan's just messaged being like, sorry, I'm completely sidetracked. This fucking thing has gone off the rails. I got sidetracked, but my theory is that it is the sister that was murdered as a baby. But dialogue does support that, but we'll talk about that later. We'll get back into the actual talking about the film now. Well, yeah, we've read that. She pleasures herself on the bathroom sink, which was very, very strange for a scene. There was a lot of nudity in this film as well. Completely forgot to mention. Where her reflection looks straight at her, scaring her to hiding. The next day, she tries to explain to her parents about what she saw. However, they brush her off and order her to prepare for school. She leaves where she is harassed by Mark, douchebag in this film. Excuse me, played by John C. McDonald. But Lily picks her up in a Porsche she owns, stopping her from getting the bus and having to deal with Dickhead. On the way, they pick up Sean, played by Harrison Gilbertson, an Australian actor, probably best known for the film Upgrade, which is better than this. Lily's boyfriend before going to school. There, once more, Mark is an arsehole, but Sean helps her up and shoves Mark when he makes fun of him. That evening, Maria dreams of her own birth before going back to the bathroom where the reflection speaks back to her, claiming her name is Aram. Being the reflection, of course, is also played by India Isley. The next day, Dan and Amy see a visual improvement in her appearance and that she is willing to go to the prom. Yeah, this is a very generic high school movie where it does take a bit of a twist towards like the second act. Is that what I thought? What I think it is that I just heard? Okay, no then. Yeah,
Yeah, probably. We're nice guys.
it was the
Sorry.
cat. I'm not going to specify which one. After school, Maria goes to visit Dan in his plastic surgery clinic, where a woman is overly flirtatious with him. This is his mistress, by the way.
Oh, have you got to the bit where they have to kiss the mirror in order to swap?
No, I get there.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very fucking strange. Dan and Maria go to a cinema where an awkward sex scene happens on the film they're watching. I had to put on the film they're watching because otherwise they go to the cinema and it's like sex. Before people are like, oh, incest as well. After leaving, they bump into Mark, who acts nice and sucks up to Dan, who is immediately dubious of him. God, I pressed the button. Maria once more speaks with Aram, who berates her for her father's lack of affection. The next day, she goes to Dan's office for her early birthday present, which is that he is going to give her plastic surgery. You're welcome, daughter. You look ugly. Let me fix it. Dan proceeds to point out all of the flaws in her appearance, which she reluctantly says yes to. She goes to Aaron for comfort, and they talk about Dan not caring for her or Amy, and they bond over some jokes. Amy walks in as she's still laughing, confused as who she is talking to, and Amy talks to Dan about her weird behaviour, but he just blames it on her not taking her meds. I don't think it ever specifies what medication it is, so he's just a bit of a knob, but he's not. He's not like directly antagonistic. Lily and Maria go to practice ice skating together, where Maria slips, causing Lily to berate her and leave her due to her knowledge of her crush on Sean. That evening, Maria talks with Aram, who tells her of her fake friendship with Lily and offers to switch place with her to fix things, which they almost do, but Amy interrupts them. Amy dresses Maria up in a prom dress before getting her to promise she'll have a good time. As soon as I heard this, I immediately thought of Carrie. I was like, I'll be happy if this happens, but it doesn't. At the prom, which I will just add is like completely on an ice rink. There's no like, it's not like somewhere where they could have hired in an ice rink. It's just at an ice rink at the school, not in like the gym or whatever you want to call it. I don't know. Yeah, the gymnasium or whatever, like the cafeteria. I don't know.
Well, it's quite cold where they are.
Yeah, they just have a cold place. I think it was in Winnipeg, just up north in America, bordering on like Canada. At the prom, Sean welcomes her onto the ice rink and takes her for a dance, which Lily notices just as Maria falls into Mark. Because of course, this twat is everywhere. Sorry, I was just responding to not the usual co-host, the other person who runs the channel, I guess. Mark then proceeds to drag her around the rink as she is mocked by her onlookers before returning home to Aram. The two of them then complete their switch, with Aram now being the one in the real world. They touch reflections, and what else do they do, babe?
They kiss.
They kiss.
I don't understand how they could swap.
I don't get it. I think Aram's just got a kink. Uh, Amy, in the meantime, has a nightmare about her being in childbirth before having visions of blood and Dan slashing his face. That morning, Amy speaks with Aram about the prom, where she lies to her about having a great time before going to school. The nightmares are never really explained. These vivid, like, dreams of... Yeah, but why does fucking Maria have these, like, flashbacks? There, Mark continues to be an ass hat, but this time Aram stands up to him and makes him uncomfortable. She gropes him. Sean then speaks with her, and they laugh about it briefly before Lily arrives. Lily once more continues to try and gaslight her into believing that she was innocent in the whole ordeal, and the two of them go ice skating once more before Aram goes to visit Dan at his clinic again, creeping him out before leaving. After distracting the secretary, Aram takes the opportunity to book an appointment for someone, Dan's mistress, while also arranging for Amy to be there for the same time. The secretary then phones Amy, who takes the chance to glam herself up for a date with her husband. Aram then watches as Amy and Dan's mistress enter the building at the same time. At dinner that evening, Amy and Aram eat without Dan, with Aram mocking Amy and Dan's shaky marriage. Aram then admits to her knowledge of his affair, causing Amy to slap him. Aram then speaks to Maria in the mirror, defending her actions as it being what Maria really wants. This poor girl gets gaslit the shit out of for like most of this film. Aram then lures Mark away from his friends, where she attacks him and breaks his knee with a hockey stick. There are people that die in this film, I will spoil that. Because obviously we said about the baby. This fucking little shithead does not die. The only, like, directly arsehole character is not killed. Like, for God's sake. Like, you could have had the opportunity for the best kill, but you fucking threw it out the window. Aram and Lily then have another skating lesson together, but Aram begins to intimidate her with her newly found skills. Aram then chases Lily, but Lily falls, bashing her head on the curb and quickly dying. Yeah, when I read this on Wikipedia, it said, like, crushes her skull, and I was like, this could be really brutal. It's just like, she slides on the ice and just goes, and it's just like dead. It's like, oh, okay. That's a bit disappointing. I was like, well, that's going to be the best kill, and then it's just like, no, one little ding and she's dead. Aram returns home where Maria has disgusted her actions and demands for her to switch back with her. Aram claims she had no part in her death, and Maria silently agrees that they didn't want Lily in their lives. At Lily's wake, Aram notices. Sorry, bear with me. Aram takes notice of Sean, along with a clearly undercover police officer, who is suspicious of her. This causes her to leave, where Sean catches up to her and tells her that they will get through it together. That they will. He will also be getting through a lot of other things. Anyway, that night, Aram secretly leaves to head over to Sean's, where they get high and eventually have sex. Initially, non-consensually on his part, I must add, but then he eventually does, like, get into it. Dan and Aram go out for dinner, where he is surprised by her appetite and how fast she's moved on from Lily. Aram begins to act strange and more irrational, which causes him to talk down to her about her behaviour. Sean and Aram start to have an intense relationship, where the way she acts becomes more reckless and dangerous. Go to Aram's, they blow off them being there due to a fake school project that allowed them to go home early. Seeing police at the school, Aram convinces Sean to skip school and go to a motel for a few hours. I should say, I think this is the next day. I can't tell. Sean receives a call from his mother about the police calling to ask about his relationship with Aram. This makes Aram panic, causing her to hit him over the head with a vodka bowl, which kills him. Yeah, lots of very mostly accidental murders. Both Aram and Maria break down in a bathroom over the murder, sharing in their sorrow. Amy has another nightmare about the childbirth, where Dan kills the other baby due to its deformities. Off screen, thankfully, but still. I killed a baby. Aram visits Dan at his office, where she fakes being drunk and randomly strips completely nude. Remembering why he killed the other baby, she confronts him for it and slits his throat with a scalpel, slowly killing him as she watches. Aram tries to talk to Maria in a reflection, however she receives no response, causing her to break the mirror and return home. There she climbs into bed with her mother, where in the reflection we see Amy with two Marias, implying that she became one person as the film ends. Thank God.
So I still don't understand how she became one at the end. Spent the whole time talking to her in the mirror.
Yeah, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense how it's just like, oh, she's now one person. Like, the two personalities are now just one. Excuse me, sorry. I'm just gonna have a drink quickly. If you want to get any thoughts across while I'm doing it.
A bit confused.
It is confusing. It's very bizarre and thrown in randomly. So, as I theorized for from before, I do believe that it is like the spirit of the sister or whatever that Dan murdered. Because she remembers why he killed the other baby, which presumably was her. So, we're going to do the best kill, worst kill, and we have a first for the show, as far as I'm aware. I'm not giving a best kill. I hate to do it, but they're not
Really?
good. They're not good. It's a couple of little knocks on the head, and then a throat slit for a guy who kind of did, kind of didn't deserve it. It's nothing special.
Oh.
Oh, what about you? Did you have one? Good chat.
Well, I was probably thinking maybe Lily.
Yeah, but it's just a little slide and a bonk.
Yeah, but you heard the crack of her neck.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, if that's your worst, if that's your best kill, fine. But she's my worst kill because I was disappointed when it said it crushes her skull and it's just a little gone. Disappointing. Plus, I don't think realistically that would have killed her, but I could be wrong. Do you have a worst kill? Off-screen baby murder?
Mm,
Hmm.
Probably the guy who was going in, I can't remember his name, the one who was going in the shower. He could have had more than just a broken leg.
That's not a kill then, is it? Because he didn't die. As far as we know, I should add. They never really confirm whether or not
No,
that
but
he deserved to die. So you don't have a worst kill then? No. Okay, fair enough. Anyway, that wraps up this film. It was definitely a film that I really didn't like. It's really not high on my list. I've of course been your host as ever, Purple Midnight 8, joined by my very sick wife, Amelia. Petal SMR, the Obsidian Nook. You can find the links in the link tree, along with all of mine and Morgan's. But in the meantime, we will see you on Christmas Day for our very, very festive Christmas review. Take care.